Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Pastor John. My name is Cyndi Berg, and I do serve here in the Office of the President as Special Assistant to the President. I have been here at Augsburg since 2017, so about 7.5 years. And in my role, I am fortunate to have opportunities to connect and work with many fine colleagues, so I thank you for being here this morning. Having been raised in the Christian faith and as a lifelong Lutheran, the concept of vocation is not foreign to me. However, in reflecting upon the concept and what I wanted to share here today, I thought it might be helpful to consider some of the more common definitions and descriptions of the term. As you may know, the word vocation comes from the Latin word that means calling. From a religious perspective, a vocation is not just something that God calls us to do, it is also the person that God calls us to be. At Augsburg, and I found this right on our website, so feel free to look it up, vocation is used as a way to describe that we are each called, compelled, challenged, equipped, and empowered to do what we can to make the world a more trustworthy place for our neighbors. So, called to be me, called to serve my neighbors. These definitions certainly convey many aspects of my understanding of vocation. However, the definition that I found that resonates with me most deeply is vocation described as a strong feeling of suitability. A strong feeling of suitability. And what seems most suitable to me is what is most closely related to people. Rather than feeling a call to a certain place or a career or even a volunteer role, I feel called to people. Throughout my work life, I have gravitated towards positions that involved working closely with people in food service and retail, as a claims adjuster, in city government as part of the Parks and Rec program, working in the church and the bishop's office, in nonprofit, and here now in higher education. My strong feeling of suitability, a feeling of being called to people, called to be in relationship with others, is something that developed in me not in a vacuum. I wasn't simply born this way, and I certainly don't have it all figured out. Like everyone else, I'm a product of decades of experiences and circumstances, bad decisions, good luck, opportunities, and misfortunes. The list goes on and on. But among the multitude of inputs that have influenced who I am, there have been relationships that have impacted how I interpret my vocation. Today, I plan to share a little bit about myself and highlight a few of the people that have influenced my sense of call, some for a moment in time, and others over the course of a lifetime. This is a photo of me with my brothers and sisters. I was number 4 of 5, so there are not a lot of pictures of me as a baby or a toddler. So I wanted to take an opportunity to share the one photo I do have. I'm the adorable little girl on the bottom right. I grew up on a farm in western Minnesota, and for me personally, what that means is that I come from a way of life that required hard work, tenacity, and resilience. We had a small dairy farm where the chores were plentiful, but money and resources were limited. Pursuits off the farm in our small rural community, such as social gatherings, religious affiliations, school activities, or civic engagements, involved a lot of my relatives or close friends and neighbors. The same people were involved in doing all the same things in our daily lives. That also meant that everyone knew your business. My mom struggled with mental health issues, and as a result, I spent a great deal of time with extended family members. I was blessed to be able to spend quality time with my paternal grandmother. She was a no-nonsense woman, unflappable and stern, but she was also thoughtful, creative, and an excellent teacher. She always made me feel special. From the time I was about 8 or 9 until my grandma died when I was 15, I spent many Saturdays with her. Our routine was to spend a better part of the day visiting and helping old people. Now, I always wondered why we were helping old people when I was certain my grandmother was one of the old people. We would visit 2 or 3 or even 4 people depending on the day, and we would arrive at their home with a parcel of baked goods. My grandma would put me to work cleaning, dusting, doing dishes, cleaning the bathroom, sweeping and mopping, whatever was needed. And my grandmother would sit with the old person, chatting and drinking coffee. I was always fairly close in proximity and could easily overhear their conversations. My grandmother would listen, commiserate, gossip a little bit, offer advice and encouragement, whatever was needed. There were occasionally tears, more often laughter. My grandma was instilling in me not only a work ethic, but more importantly, an ethic of service, of compassion, and of relationship. As I look back at my old grandma being one of the old people, I realized that she was then only a few years older than I am now. I hope I have gotten to be a bit like her as I've aged in the ways that she cared for people. When I graduated from high school, most of my friends were headed off to college, and so I thought that's what I would do. I had always been a good student, active in extracurriculars. It seemed a simple and obvious choice. But in reality, as a first-generation college student, it was complicated and overwhelming. My mom had not even graduated from high school, and my father, after serving in the Navy, returned home to farm. So there really wasn't anyone in my immediate family to offer instruction or guidance. When I went to register for fall semester as a freshman, I had trouble finding parking. I was running late. I got lost trying to find my way around campus. I was ready to give up and go home and forget about college. I was so frustrated, and I felt so stupid. But I remembered that my sister had a friend that worked at the college library. I found the library, and I asked for her, Lori White. Yes, 40 plus years later, I still remember her name. She was a godsend to me that day. She dropped what she was doing, walked me to the room where I needed to register, and ushered me through the lines, explaining the process all along the way. She became my go-to when I had questions during that first year of school. I would love to say that everything magically fell into place and college was a breeze after that point, but that was not the case. I was paying for college and living expenses on my own and working full-time. The load was too heavy, and I did not have anyone to encourage or support me. My family had little support to offer, financial or otherwise. I dropped out after 2 years. I had a job opportunity in Iowa. I jokingly refer to this as my study abroad time. I did learn a lot in Iowa, both on and off the job, but eventually I returned to Minnesota, relocating to the Twin Cities and landing a job in customer service at a toy manufacturer in Edina. I was busy working and spending time with friends, but I knew I wanted to complete my degree. I started taking classes one at a time at Normandale College and then one at the U. I was motivated and committed, but I didn't know how to put all the pieces together. I needed help, but I was afraid and a little embarrassed about my circuitous route. I finally worked up the courage and made an appointment with an advisor at Mankato State. The advisor had reviewed my previous coursework and transcripts in advance, and after asking me some questions about my goals, she wrote up a plan to help me finish my degree. She charted out the course that I needed to complete it. She identified courses that I needed to take. She looked at the classes from other institutions that would need to get approved to transfer. She explained everything to me. She even offered me suggestions about how to find housing in Mankato, and then she walked me to the financial aid office. I could have hugged her, and I wish I remembered her name. What had seemed an impossible mess suddenly became a clear path forward. I was still working nearly full-time, but with defined goals and a strong desire to succeed, I completed my undergraduate degree. All in all, it was an 8-year journey from high school graduation to college graduation. The help that I received from Lori and that academic advisor changed the trajectory of my life. Perhaps they saw their assistants as simply doing their jobs and have likely not given me another thought over the years. But to me, their efforts made all the difference. I try to keep this in mind as I am simply doing my job. You never know what small gesture or offer of assistance might be at a critical or pivotal moment in someone's life. This is a picture of my graduation from Augsburg. Here at Augsburg, I was able to complete a Master of Arts in Leadership degree, graduating in 2021. I am proud to be an Augie, and you'll see me there. I'm the adorable little girl in the middle. I'm proud to be an Augie. Having experienced Augsburg as a student, engaging with faculty, classmates, and institutional resources has provided valuable perspectives and insights that benefit my work daily. And now on to my favorite people. I know the pictures are kind of bad quality, but I wanted to put them up there anyway. Onto my favorite people who have truly been the biggest impact, my family. In my 30s, I married and became a mom. This is a picture of my husband, Rick, and our two kids, Riley and Caroline. I'm the adorable little girl in the back. We're at Arches National Park in Utah, and we've had the wonderful opportunities to travel to a number of national parks. We love to hike, we enjoy the natural beauty and each other's company. Becoming a parent felt like and still feels like a true calling. Damn near everything about being a mom has stretched me to my limits and required me to be a better person. Required me to be more loving, patient, empathetic, kind, honest, authentic, open, smarter, wiser, stronger, more forgiving, reliable, responsible, relatable, spontaneous. The list goes on and on. There have been plenty of joys and struggles, life's ups and downs, and I have often felt woefully inadequate, but I cannot imagine a vocation that could be more important. The older my kids get, the more I learn about being a mom, and I change and grow as a mom. My adult kids have their own lives, I have mine, but my relationships with these remarkable people are still my calling. It suits me. And I can say without reservation that they have changed me for good. And that good shows up in ways in which I interact with other people, at work, with friends, in my faith community, acquaintances, or even strangers. I'm just a better person for it. I have been blessed to be welcomed into the Augsburg community, and hopefully I have found and will continue to find ways to contribute to the mission of this institution and the success of our students. I just have one little last thing I want to share with you. This is a photo of a quote from spiritual leader and psychologist Ram Dass. It hangs on my kitchen wall. I had this wall hanging made several years ago because when I heard these words, the message really resonated with me. We're all just walking each other home. We're all just walking each other home. The words call to mind the concept of accompaniment, of walking alongside and joining one another. To me, that pretty much sums up life as it should be, a calling or vocation for everyone to be with and for our fellow human beings, to take care of each other, to help each other get where we're going safely. This seems so obvious and yet is often too counter to the world and the times in which we live. I'm optimistic, though, because I see so many of you who are part of the Augsburg community living out this concept of accompaniment. I hope you will keep this quote in mind, both here at Augsburg and your life outside Augsburg. Who are you walking home today? I have no doubt you are uniquely gifted and well suited for the walk. Thank you.